Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. I'm your host, Lexi, and I hope you all had a restful spring break. While we did have a break from classes, the sports world has been very active, so we have a lot to talk about today. But before we get into that, let's do a quick spring break recap. For my break, I went back and forth between Lawrence and Kansas City working my first professional acting job. I actually landed a role in a vertical series, which is a specific kind of short-form video made specifically for your phone. The show should be out in a few months, so download the app Good Short if you want to check it out. The rest of our crew had a really good break as well. Emil headed home to Chicago and sat courtside for the Bulls and Cavs game. Unfortunately, the Bulls did lose by 5, but it was still a good game. Brandon, Josie, and Summers stayed in Lawrence and tried to enjoy this weird mix of hot and cold weather. Summer got to photograph a few of the KU baseball games as well. Sophia got to go home to San Diego and spend the week on the beach, which is super awesome, super warm. Delaney got her tonsils out, and so she spent the week recovering. Even with everyone's busy schedule, I hope we are all feeling rested and recovered and ready for the second half of the semester. Now let's go ahead and transition back into what's going on in sports. With only a couple days left of March, we are that much closer to crowning a March Madness champ. Unfortunately, our Jayhawks did lose in the second round to St. John's, so while we can't cheer on our team anymore, there have still been plenty of other crazy games throughout this tournament. Sophia and Brandon will have a Final Four and championship debate a little bit later. And that's all I have for you. Let's hand it over to Chris with a recap of KU's March Madness journey.
Thanks, Lexi. The Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball team was able to take down the Cal Baptist Lancers in the first round of the NCAA tournament before losing to St. John's Red Storm in the second round on a heartbreaking buzzer beater, making this their fourth straight year of missing out on the Sweet 16. Against Cal Baptist, Kansas led by as much as 26 points, but the Lancers were able to cut down the lead with the help of their star player, Dominique Daniels, who finished the game with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. In the end, the Jayhawks were able to secure the victory thanks to the performance of Darren Peterson, who had 28 points, leading Kansas to an 8-point win. While the first round was a success, the second round was not. Kansas lost by 2 points against St. John's on a last-second layup by Dylan Darling, who was 0 for 4 with 0 points before hitting the game winner. While it was a close finish, the Red Storm seemed to have control of the entire game, as the Jayhawks' only lead was when the score was 6-3. At under 10 minutes, St. John's had a commanding 14-point lead, but Kansas fought back to tie the game with 13 seconds to go before falling to St. John's on a buzzer beater. St. John's Zuby Ejiofor, an ex-Jayhawk, was the Red Storm's X-factor, putting up 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. In the tournament, the Jayhawks shot a total of 9 for 33 from 3, with Darren Peterson hitting 7 of the 9. While KU's roster is one of the most talented they've had in many years, in the end, their streakiness led to their demise. While the tournament didn't go as KU fans hoped, there were some bright spots. Cole Rosario looked great and also showed that his future is promising. Alongside him, Paul Mbia looked dominant in the limited time he got, again showing promise for his future. That's all I have for the men's Jayhawks basketball team. Here's Emil and Brandon with some of the favorite moments and players in March Madness.
How's it going, guys? My name is Brandon, and I'm joined here by Emil, and today we are here to give you some of our favorite standout performances and players so far this March. Emil, what do you got?
I think my favorite game was definitely Kentucky versus Santa Clara. I know there's been some upsets. I know there's been some other buzzer beaters. But I feel like that half court from Ortega Owe, I mean, that's the moment that people are going to remember from this March. When you look up best March Madness moments, that's going to be one of the last videos that you remember. That's my number one for sure.
No, 100%. I actually have that game at my number 2. My number 1 is 12-seed High Point taking down Wisconsin in the round 64. I mean, High Point came into that game. Everybody kind of thought that it was going to be a pretty close matchup. Came in as a 7-seed underdog, the 12-seed over the 5, and got the win 83-82 with Chase Johnson's first 2-pointer of the season coming in the clutch on a wide-open layup.
Yeah, definitely some shades of Jack Golke there. But for my number 2, I actually had last night's game, 2-seed Purdue over 11-seed Texas. It was a great game, 22 lead changes throughout the entire thing, with both teams having good leads that they just kept losing. But the moment that everybody's going to remember is the tip-in. I mean, last second, basically, .07 on the clock. I mean, it was a great shot. What do you think about it?
Yeah, no, that game's my number 3 after High Point in Wisconsin, then Kentucky and Santa Clara. I have that game as my 3rd. I mean, there was Iowa and Nebraska as well on at that time. If I'm being honest, I didn't tune in because that game was so good with Texas and Purdue. I mean, every starter for Purdue had at least 10 points. They really looked like that preseason number 1 ranked team that they were. So, I mean, they're really one of those teams that's just getting hot at the right moment. And then to kind of wrap up my top games, I had 4-seed Nebraska who beat 5-seed Vanderbilt in the round of 32, 74-72.
Yeah, my 3, 12-seed High Point over Wisconsin, like we were talking about. Great game. Shout out Rob Martin. And then my number 4 is also going to be 4-seed Nebraska over 5-seed Vanderbilt. People are going to talk about whatever, but I think the moment that defined the game was Trey Tanner's almost half-court shot.
Yeah.
Definitely some shades of Gordon Hayward versus Duke there. It was definitely, if it went in, I would say that would be over Kentucky, Santa Clara, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
and then, I mean, on top of that, Nebraska kind of stayed hot, and they went into their first ever Sweet 16 and then eventually lost to Iowa. But, I mean, that game against Vanderbilt was just back and forth action all day, so it really doesn't get much better. As for players, I mean, who stood out for you this tournament?
Darius Acuff, I know they lost yesterday, but he's been single-handedly leading that Arkansas team to almost an Elite Eight. I know they couldn't get it done versus Arizona, but, you know, they struggled with defense a lot. I mean, Acuff might as well, but he definitely mixed up with points. But I did want to touch on one honorable mention before we start talking about players. I really wanted to talk about that Texas-NC State game, specifically Trayvon Mark. That game winner and just how he took over that final minute of the game. I wouldn't say it was one of the best, but I would definitely say it's right on the outside looking in.
100%. I mean, Acuff is my top guy as well. I mean, he has 88 points, 16 assists on 47% shooting in 3 games. Only 8 turnovers as well, so he's holding on to the ball very well. And then following him, I have Jacoby Gillespie from Tennessee. He has 50 points and 15 assists in 2 games and has led the Volunteers into their Sweet 16.
Yeah, for my number 2, I actually had Darren Peterson. He might not have the best stats, you know, shooting-wise, but when you watch those games, you can really tell that they were kind of relying on Darren Peterson to do everything. You can see just with the 3 points, 7 for 19 from Darren Peterson, the rest of the team combined for 2 for 4. It wasn't even that they were afraid to shoot. They were just kind of relying on Darren Peterson the entire time, and it almost worked out, you know, like they said earlier, heartbreaking loss to St. John's, but, you know, if that doesn't happen, I think we go in overtime. Darren Peterson, a couple more threes.
Yeah. No, I have Peterson as my 3, and then to round out my top players, I actually threw in Tamin Lipsey, the guard over at Iowa State. Offensively, he hasn't done much. He's only had 29 points and 12 assists in 2 games, but defensively, he's shown up. He's had 8 steals in those 2 games, and his effort on the offensive glass kind of shines out to me. He's always crashing the board, which is why I think Iowa State will go far.
Yeah. Defense is a really important part of March. Everybody knows that. Defense wins championships. They say it in the NFL all the time. My number 3, I talked about him a little bit earlier. I got Rob Martin, High Point. 53 points in 2 games, upsetting Wisconsin, almost upsetting Arkansas. You know, he was a big part of both with 23 against Wisconsin and 30 against Arkansas. Just 15 assists as well, so he was passing the rock pretty well. I just wanted to give him some love because, you know, High Point, I mean, 12 seed almost making it to the Sweet 16. We love to see it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up mine and the Meals top performers of March Madness so far. Stay tuned to GMKU Sports for more to come. Aaron, we're done with one round of the Sweet 16 so far. Elite 8 coming up this weekend. What are your guys' thoughts so far on the Final Four?
Well, really good games. We had a few games last night. Came down to the wire. I mean, Houston, Illinois went right down to the wire. Houston came back and almost won that game, but lost by 10. But overall, I had them in my Final Four predictions.
Yeah. I think we all did.
I think we all did. So we all.
Yeah.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah. So my Final Four initially, I had Houston, which I've now replaced with Illinois. Illinois is a great defensive team, and that kind of showed up against Houston. In the East, I actually had Michigan State. I'm trusting in Tom Izzo to come through in March, as well as Jeremy Fears. He's had 27 assists in 2 games. And then in my other 2, I have Iowa State, one of, in my opinion, the grittiest team and just willing to get it done. And in the West, I had Arkansas, but I've now replaced them with the team who beat them, Arizona.
Yeah, I had St. John's, and I had Illinois, but I will have to switch that, and I think Illinois played really good defense against Houston, locked him down. But in my championship, I would have had Houston versus Arizona, but now that's going to be changing because Houston's now out of the tournament, so I would say that kind of changes things, but I would say I have to put Houston, or I would have to put St. John's to actually go to the championship and make it all the way to the championship versus Arizona, and I think Arizona wins that if they make it.
I like that.
Interesting one. I don't think I want St. John's to go all the way. I think they beat us, so I want them to get out immediately.
As soon as possible.
St.
As
John's
soon as
looks
possible.
good. You
I don't
can't
know, I don't
blame it.
know.
You can't blame it. St. John's looked really good against us. They played
did.
really good defense. Former Jayhawk played in that game.
Yep.
He brought it, yeah.
He brought it.
He did. My top 4, I have Duke, Houston, Iowa State, and Arizona. I mean, Duke, it's Duke. They're a powerhouse. Like, they're, I think, all around elite. I had Houston. Now I have the Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes are scrappy. Like, their past 3 games against Florida, Nebraska, Clemson, they've never won by more than 6. It's always close, but they always bring it back, and like at the end of it, they're always winning. And I think that's kind of what March Madness is about. Sometimes winning is ugly. They're not blowing teams out. They're surviving, but I think it shows
Surviving in
promise.
advance.
Exactly.
It's surviving
Name of
in
the game.
advance. I
Yep.
mean, there have been a few games that have been close in this tournament. We had a few upsets, and no one predicted that St. John's would get through the path they've had
Yeah.
to get to where they're at now.
Yeah.
True.
Same with Iowa, and that's kind of how Sophia was saying. I mean, Iowa's so scrappy.
No one predicted against Florida that they would win.
No, that was probably the shocker.
Crazy.
That was a
game.
shocker
But
of a game.
As for championship games, who do you guys got? I know, Jackson, you said St. John's and Arizona.
Yep.
Sophia, what do you have?
I have Duke and Arizona. And
Okay.
I have Arizona taking it.
Okay, so I have Houston at first, but now I have Michigan State on top of that, and I have them playing Iowa State. Both great programs. Obviously, both teams are coached extremely well. Michigan State scores 79 points a game and gives up 68. Iowa State scores 82 and only gives up 65, so should shape up for a pretty great game.
Michigan State is scrappy.
Michigan State's very scrappy. As for my champion, though, however, I'm going to go with Iowa State. I think the guards in Iowa State and Ames, they crash the boards extremely well, and they're able to steal some possessions off the boards. And it's one of those teams that kind of like Iowa. I don't know, maybe it's just something in the state of Iowa.
Maybe.
But that team, Iowa State never bats down. Like, they'll be down 10, 12 with 8 minutes to go, and they'll be able to bring that back.
I mean, whenever Arizona, I've got my championship game, and Arizona all year, they have looked really good. They have dominated half of their games. It's like they've won by, I think, all of their games. It feels like they win by 10 or more each of those games. In the tournament, they're on a tear. They've won each of the games by a blowout. Arkansas last night was a blowout. They scored 100. They scored 109.
109 to 88.
109 to 88 on Arkansas.
Yeah.
And that just shows Arizona's path to the championship is getting more and more clear, where I think Arizona's going to take this.
That's who I have. Arizona's dialed. You know, I think they're one of the most balanced teams statistically. If you just look at their stats, defense, offense, they have it all. Yeah, I think that they're taking it all, and I think it'd be cool because we beat them at Allen Fieldhouse, so we can say that we beat national championships.
Absolutely.
They won. We're not going to talk about in Arizona, but we beat them at home, so.
We beat him at home.
can
That's the
say.
one thing that matters.
I will say the last time that Iowa State played Arizona, which kind of seems like
Yeah.
we're all differing a little bit, Iowa State, in my opinion, should have won that game. And then the Big 12 Player of the Year, Jaden Bradley, showed why he was the Player of the Year and hit that buzzer beater. So I won't be shocked if that game comes down to assuming that those two teams match up. I won't be shocked if they come down to the wire once
I
again.
would not be shocked if it does go right down to it,
Yeah.
1 or 2 shots, and Iowa State could maybe have the possession at the end of the game where they want to get their revenge on losing against Arizona.
Yeah.
Well, we will see.
We will
about
see.
that, yeah. We'll see if our predictions come true.
See if our predictions come true.
Yeah. That's all we have for you now, and now we're going to go back to Lexi.
Thank you, Sophia, Brandon, and Jackson. Let's go ahead and head to a quick break, and then we will be right back with Emil's Jayhawk Sports Report.
KU supports community, creativity, Kansas. The University of Kansas provides statewide medical outreach, first responder training, cybersecurity protection, childhood development support, and economic gains amounting to over $7 billion every year. Every day, Kansas Jayhawks serve the world by creating a better future. The world is safer, healthier, stronger because of what KU creates.
Welcome back. It's Emil, and I'm back with your Jayhawks Sports Report. The softball team took 2 out of 3 games against Utah last weekend at Rock Chalk Park. Kansas is currently 23-9 overall with a 4-2 Big 12 record on top of that. The next series for the Jayhawks will be down in Provo, Utah, where they're going to be taking on BYU in a 3-game series that starts tonight at 7 p.m. In the track and field scene, the Jayhawks' dominance in the pole vault continued as junior Ashton Barkdahl won the indoor national championship in Fayetteville, Arkansas. He is KU's 3rd national pole vault champion. Additionally, KU pole vault coach Tom Hayes was named as the Midwest Region Indoor Assistant Coach of the Year. This marks the 5th time Coach Hayes has won this award, combining both indoor and outdoor seasons. On top of that, he was also the 2011 National Collegiate Pole Vault Coach of the Year. Speaking of outdoor season, KU's outdoor season began last weekend at the Jayhawks Spring Fling, where the Jayhawks won 9 events, with the women's side ending with 25 top 3 finishes on their way to finishing first, while the men's side finished second in the competition. Both teams are heading to Emporia later today for the ESU Spring Open. The tennis team continues to upset opponents ranked higher than the Jayhawks. KU knocked off 19th ranked UCF last weekend to improve to 9-7 overall and 5-2 in the Big 12 Conference. Kansas travels to Arizona this weekend to play both Arizona State and Arizona. And finally, the women's basketball team defeated San Diego State 85-78 in Allen Fieldhouse of the quarterfinals of the WBIT last night. With a 25-point performance from freshman Jalea Davis, the Jayhawks advance to the semifinals, where they will face BYU in Wichita. That's all I got for this week's Jayhawk Sports Report. Up next is Josie to tell us about this rapidly changing weather.
Yeah, well, we've had some crazy weather going on. Yesterday we had record-breaking heat, and today we're only seeing temperatures go up into the middle 50s. But we are going to warm back up this weekend eventually. This breeze has stayed with us from yesterday to today. Now the wind's going to be out of the north. Tomorrow it'll be out of the south, but it's going to stay breezy, and today it's feeling much cooler. We're going to continue to warm up this weekend and into the start of next week as well. But right now it's currently 43 with a cloudy sky. The sun shining through at moments. But it's staying pretty cloudy throughout the day today. The dew point's at 31. The feels like it's 27, and that's because of this north wind at 60 miles per hour, gusting up to 30. As we can see in Emporia, a little bit sunnier in Emporia than here in Lawrence right now, but we can see these clouds, and the same as in Topeka, a little bit gloomier. This is what it looks like in Lawrence right now with these clouds. Our weather cam is out in Lawrence right now, but it's very cloudy right now. Temperatures in the area right now ranging in the 40s. We're only seeing middle 50s throughout the day today. 43 in Lawrence, 41 in Topeka, 42 in Leavenworth, 43 in Kansas City as well. But as the day continues, we'll see a slight warm up in temperature rising up to the middle 50s. Sunshine coming through at moments, staying windy out of the north. But as we head into the evening, our winds start to shift northeast, becoming southerly throughout the night tomorrow. A temperature tomorrow much warmer, reaching middle 60s to lower 60s with a much sunnier sky. UV of 7, but I'm not sure if you're going to want to tan tomorrow, as we are seeing low temperatures into the mid to lower 60s. The wind, like I said, out of the south tomorrow, still windy, 17 miles per hour with gusts up to 28. So it'll be a little bit warmer, but not quite tanning weather yet. This warm-up continues over the weekend. We're seeing temperatures on Saturday, again, lower 60s to mid 60s. Sunday, we see some clouds return, but a high of 76. Want to pay attention here to this low on Saturday morning, 30. This is a freeze, so if you have plants outside, maybe cover them with a blanket, maybe bring them inside if you can. But by Monday, we're back into the middle 80s with a little more clouds coming in. And we see our next rain chance Tuesday night as another cold front, 76 on Tuesday, but Wednesday we drop back down into the middle 50s, so another cold front on its way. That's all I have for you. Back to Lexi.
Thanks, Josie. Sounds like we're going to have to bring both of our wardrobes together. This next week is looking very insane. That's all we have for today, everyone. We will see you next week on Good Morning KU Sports. Rock chalk and have a great rest of your weekend.